Good morning. This is Michelle Thompson, your academic and legal coach. It's great to be back with you. I was a lawyer and I am currently an academic. And I've learned a lot about writing over the years, and I want to share what I've learned with you. Have you found that you have problems with writing, that something just doesn't sound right? You can't get it to be where you want it to be? Do you find that when you write, you get nowhere quickly? Do you find that you are stuck and you need to get unstuck? You're definitely not alone, and that's why I do these weekly writing tips to help shift some of these problems with writing that many academics and lawyers actually have. So today's writing tip is about the importance of conferences, academic and professional conferences, depending on what your discipline is. And that might seem kind of funny, and I'll say more about this. With the summer, we are at a point where we're not in the office and we can go ahead and assess what we're trying to do with our lives, professionally and personally. It gives us a time to slow down a little bit and, have other thoughts about what we're doing. And in that process, we should be thinking through what we want to happen in the next academic year, but also in the next 5 years. I'm a big proponent of a 5-year work plan. If you look at academic coaches like Karen Kelsky, she finds it's really important, but it helps you frame what it is that you want to do to potential employers and gives you a place from where you can start. And in this work plan should also be academic conferences. Where do people in your field go? What are the most important ones? Sometimes it's the smaller ones that matter more, but you definitely want to have those on your radar. So, why is this a writing tip? That's a really good question. It's a writing tip because conferences play 2 important roles. They help you fix real deadlines, absolute hard deadlines, and they also give you a platform for finishing your writing. There are also ways to get feedback on your work. You get built-in thumbs up, you need to work on this, built right in. So let's start with real deadlines. This is my real experience. When I was working on my dissertation, I actually, every single chapter that I wrote was preceded, had a conference built into that. So I would write something, I would have a firm date, like I had to have something about this chapter done by the time the conference rolled around. And so with that firm date, I would actually write what I wanted to for the conference, and then I would go ahead and build the chapter. So I'd actually rework what I did for the conference in the process of actually preparing the chapter. And by the time I got around to the conference, what that actually meant was that I had to pare down what I wrote. That's amazing. It kept me moving at a very brisk pace. You don't ignore that deadline because you don't want to get to that conference and be at risk of just, going blah the entire time. You don't want that to happen, right? You want to put forward your best face. You don't want people to walk out of the room thinking, wow, they have no idea what they're doing. Right? So it's a very real deadline. And so it actually works very, very well to have it built into your work plan as you're going ahead and writing. And here's, and it's such a relief to actually pretty much have your chapter written. Absolutely helpful and a big relief. It also allowed me in this process to state very succinctly what I was doing as a scholar. There was no room, because you'll get like 15 minutes, 20 minutes to present your work, there's no room to blather on as you would want, right? You just have to get the stuff done. And because it's a real deadline, you have a real writing schedule. You need at least 2 weeks to prepare the presentation, and you won't be able to pop it out at the last minute. So this is a win-win. It's a win for you, and it's a win for the conference who gets to hear your work. So that's part of why that is so important. The second reason why it's so important is because it gives you an opportunity to get real feedback on your work. If meeting deadlines are the problem, maybe what you're skittish about is actually having people evaluate what you're doing. let's face it, when you're in dissertation land, you don't really feel at the top of your game. You don't feel like, wow, I am an expert in this field and I'm going to go forward and show what I know. You don't do that with bravado and confidence. You kind of have to learn to fake the funk on that, is one thing I would say. But you know what? This is a chance for you to get feedback from people who are beyond your committee. And that's really, really critical, because in the long haul, those are the people who are going to be making hiring decisions if you decide that you want to work in academia. Let's face it, we often really feel getting harsh, evil feedback. And you know what? For those who can't figure out how to be professional and thoughtful in their feedback, screw them. Let's move on. But that tends to be the only feedback we expect, and I think that's why it's hard to do to show others our work. We expect people to be really harsh and unthoughtful about what they have to say about our work. But often, here's the thing. You're not really the greatest judge of what you're doing. You might have thought you did X, Y, and Z, but you didn't actually do it. And if someone else doesn't hear what you're doing, you actually don't have a picture of that, right? Just because you're certain something sucks doesn't mean it does. And secondly, even if it does, what you want is high quality feedback. And hopefully when you're going to these conferences, you're actually getting high quality feedback. And that's what you're going for. Wow, these parts are really good. This is where it needs to be stepped up and improved. So you can go home and turn that into an article, whatever. And you know what? People actually might like your work. I know it's hard to imagine. People may actually like your work. And if people actually do like your work, or if you get really amazing feedback, can you afford to miss that kind of encouragement? No, you can't. You need it. Go get it, right? You have to take the chance to see if this is the work you want to do and the work that your colleagues respect. If you don't take the chance, it doesn't happen. So you can keep to yourself and keep your ideas to your committee, or only to yourself, and not share it with share only with a couple trusted colleagues. And then the feedback that you're getting are the critical voices in your head. That's not really where you want to live at all. You need to move beyond that. So go ahead and use conferences to actually move your work forward. If your work sucks, which is unlikely, I know that's what you think it might be happening, but it's unlikely. Hopefully you will get real feedback for how to fix it and make it unstuck, if nothing else. You want that opportunity to do that. So those are my two concrete reasons why conferences are actually an important part of the writing process. So thank you for listening. I have a few things to ask of you to do. During or after this video, go ahead and like my page if you like what you saw. That way you can be sure to get the latest stuff from me. I would love if you could sign up for my newsletter. If you scroll down on the left side of my page, you can find there's a button for MailChimp or something like that. You can go ahead and sign up for my newsletter if you're an academic. If you're in law, I will go ahead and put the link for that in the comments section underneath this page. I also have a couple of offerings for you to help support you do your work as writers. I am hosting a retreat for academic writers here in New York City for one day on July 29th. If you go to the events section of the page, you can find it. Please go ahead, take a look at it and see if it's something that interests you. The early bird rates end in 1 week on the 9th. So please make sure, go ahead and secure your spot at that retreat. And I was talking about conferences, and you might be you're really like, yeah, I really love the idea of conferences, but I can't afford them. Don't let money be a barrier. I'm hosting online an event for figuring out how to crowdfund for conferences. I actually just had a lot of success with this, and I want to share what I know with you. So if you go ahead and click on that, it's July 26th, if I'm correct. Go ahead and register for that, and you get to spend an hour and a half with me trying to figure out how to crowdfund your next conference. And also, I also have my tribes are up and running. Tribe of Legal Warriors and Tribe of Academic Warriors. If you want support in moving your career forward, building a work plan, working out a particular challenge that you're having, join your tribe of women in academia or law. You can go to my webpage, michelledionThompson.com, to learn more about any of those offerings. Thanks for spending this part of the morning with me. Have a great weekend.